So, Crimson Desert has finally come out, and I've spent about 10 to 15 hours this weekend trying it and seeing what it's like. The hype building up to this game was absolutely unreal, so it had some very high expectations to try to reach. However, when the game actually came out, the Steam reviews weren't all that great. They were balancing at around 70% initially, and I think now they're up to the 75 or so. And there are reasons for that, which we will get into. For the vast majority of the time that I've spent playing, I've mainly just been running around doing side quests and just exploring the map, doing all the puzzles, side activities and things like that, which there are hundreds of hours worth of. I saw a Reddit post earlier with a guy that had the game early, about 2 weeks, and he's put about 200 hours in and he's only done just over half of the content available in the game, which is absolutely crazy. The main issues that people have had, which mainly arise in these reviews, is the controls, the menus, and the story, which I think are very valid points. Now, it's true that the story is very shallow. It almost feels like you're playing like an MMO, like New World or something, where the story just isn't the main focus really, it's more about the gameplay. The way I've been looking at it is, I haven't been looking at the game as a Witcher sort of game. It's literally Breath of the Wild, but with slightly more depth, and it feels just more like an adult version of that. So for me, I've been really enjoying it. But there are a few letdowns that just really let it down. So in regards to the story, people have been saying it's weak, and I do agree. And we have actually had a supposed Pearl Abyss insider, the guy from the dev company, speak out on this. So I'm going to read what they said. Crimson Desert originally wasn't like this. People playing Crimson Desert or those in the industry will probably feel it vaguely. Why is there no talk about the Crimson Desert in Crimson Desert? If the title was Crimson Desert, things related to it should appear, but in the story they don't appear at all. Do you know why? It is because the story was not decided until right before release. Therefore, a story trailer could not come out, and since it is a story about a mercenary group, there is inevitably no talk about the mercenary group. The fact that it proceeds only with main protagonist Cliff is also this reason. Additionally, Cliff was originally named Macbeth, but this name was changed because it had a serial killer vibe. For the story, originally, it started with a young king who had his throne usurped. Coming to the Grey Mane mercenaries, a middle-aged prime minister who was looking after the young king and the young princess came and asked to make them royalty. And it was content about recapturing a type of currency manufactured from minerals that can be only collected in the regional area of Crimson Desert. So, in the process of occupying Crimson Desert to seize hegemony and making them royalty, the middle-aged prime minister was supposed to betray them and tried to make killing himself, and the story was about stopping that and winning. So he sort of goes here what the original story was supposed to be, which my opinion is this sounds way more interesting than what we have currently in the story, about just a group that's broken up essentially and that's literally it. But he also does state reasons as to why this happened, so let's get into that. In the middle of it, a director was pushed out in the power struggle and resigned. And once someone from an art background became the general manager, they started overturning everything. This person who became general manager is a general manager in name only. They are just a compliance subordinate. And every person in the team who holds a rank is just a compliance subordinate. Individual will, personal opinion, they do not exist. This is why they can hold a rank. The current result is what happened as everything began to be overturned for art. Even Erwin was originally that young king's bodyguard and was a man. When Zelda Tears of the Kingdom came out, they hurriedly followed and made Sky Island that made no sense. They brought in functions from games as references, but without understanding as to why those functions were put into those games. They only exist as means for purpose. If it looks cool, they just put it in, and once it's implemented, they gather among themselves and applaud. I don't know what to call this, if not a frog in a well. Always trash talking on the Unreal Engine. They don't try the next games when they come out and only watch YouTube and trash talk about it. They claim God of War is a trash game that looks good. As a fan of God of War, hearing them say it's just a game with good visuals without even like 1% of Kratos' narrative makes me sigh. Anyway, as someone who also participated in the game, I hoped it would do well, but I am sad that it results like this. I am sad because it feels like it has decorated page gaming history in many ways really. However, on the contrary, It is a relief to be informed that a good game cannot come out of such corporate culture. So, we've seen examples of this time and time again. I think this does make sense with the massive corporate culture that we're seeing in these big titles. The whole corporate structure negatively affects just the direction of games, and they're just willing to take no risks and following the next man up, essentially what they're supposed to do. This literally describes one-on-one and fully makes sense of what happened with Crimson Desert and why it's the way it is. The letter goes on a bit more here. I was part of Crimson Desert development team for a long time. Even as I write this, I've deleted and restarted this post several times, wondering if it's the right thing to do. Please excuse me if this feels a bit disorganized. In our company, we collectively call anyone at the team leader or above leader. Our CEO announced in front of the entire staff that the company would be restructured like an inverted pyramid, placing more leaders and rank and file employees. Once a high-ranking leader said to me, "Do you know why you can't be one of us? It's because a leader has to be someone who looks in the same direction as we do." What that meant was that they only want people who unconditionally say yes, follow orders and never talk back. In other words, every head at the top of that inverted pyramid is filled with people who think exactly the same way. I believe most of my colleagues involved in development were aware that Crimson Desert was going off the rails. However, I don't think many were in the position to speak up about it. As I mentioned, they don't acknowledge anyone who doesn't share their exact mindset. They just praise their own work as amazing, and whenever they see a reference from here or here that looks good, they just shove it in. Because it's such a hodgepodge of features crammed together, the control layout must have been a mess too. I believe it's inevitable that conclusion of Crimson Desert would become a disaster. I don't think in a proper direction can ever emerge from a company that suppresses people for calling out what is wrong. I've been rambling late into the night and watching reviews and streamers say Crimson Desert makes me feel bittersweet. All the common flaws users point out are the exact same things we should gather and say, "Isn't this a bit weird?" From here on out, I expect this will try to shift the blame, digging through the development history of individuals to find someone to pin a responsibility on for why it's turned out this way. Anyway, to my colleagues who developed Crimson Desert, to those who left for various reasons, and to those in the industry who supported us, you've all worked so hard, and thank you. The industry is very cold and harsh right now, but I hope everyone stays strong. So that's what the insider for Perlibus had to say about the whole internal situation around this game and why things are the way they are, and how things have turned out in the end. This insider information does look very reputable. It has got a very good feedback so far, and it seems to be very accurate from what I'm seeing. But this does just fully explain everything. It all makes sense. That whole thing they mentioned about just stealing stuff from games and adding it completely explains the control issues. That's all we can really say for now. They have been saying that they're trying to fix the inventory system, which was a big complaint. They're going to add something in. I don't know why they didn't think to add that in, knowing that it's such a massive RPG. But the things that they can't change are the story. Like, it's too late now. It's too late. The story sounds very interesting of what it could have been, but realistically, like, things are the way they are now, and we'll just have to deal with it. But that whole idea that they had originally sounds so much better than what it is now. It really is a shame, but we'll just have to stick with it. So I'll go over now what I thought when I was playing the game. I spent 15 hours or so over the weekend just exploring side stuff and doing other side parts, and I have enjoyed it, but there are parts I found extremely frustrating. I loved the fact that the puzzles and everything, it had zero yellow paint, so it really helps with your immersion, as it feels like you're not exactly forced into doing something a certain way. Instead, you have to discover it for yourself. It really helps with the immersion here. The world is absolutely beautiful. It might just be one of the most beautiful worlds I've seen in a while. It's huge, but it feels alive. There's loads of stuff going on. There's not huge amounts of empty space. There's always something somewhere, and wherever you go and look over the empty space, there is something going on. And it was crazy. When I was doing the side stuff initially, you start in Hernand, it's the main city. You look around and you think, oh, this is it, because you're surrounded by mountains. But then you go on top of those mountains, and behind that you see a valley and even more mountains, and then you see another valley and more mountains, and it just goes on, and the scale is just ridiculous. I really like the graphics and the whole look of the game as well. The puzzles are okay. I think that they're pretty fun, and there's a lot of variety in them as well. I have enjoyed doing them. I really like the way they handled taking over outposts, where it's just a percentage marker that saves. So that just means that you can come back. If you don't want to clear the whole camp at once, you can clear 85%, say, and then just come back later on. I think that is fantastic. That's the first game I think I've seen in a while do that, apart from maybe World of Warcraft. That's the only time I remember seeing like a percentage countdown of clearing an area. But that just goes to show there are so many MMO aspects in this game as well, so many. I think this is like the true open world experience. This is the most open world we've ever seen open world, and I'm all for it. And I think it really does make up for the negatives that this game has, which I will go into now. The boss fights are cool, but they are extremely grueling at times. This guy that you fight at the mine that just has these mining drills is absolutely brutal. All the bosses are just kind of annoying, but it feels, if you look at it as if they're supposed to be like Souls-like bosses, then it becomes a bit more bearable, and you just know to expect to die a few times. The controls are absolutely terrible. They suck so bad. There's different control schemes for every single puzzle, every single thing that you're supposed to be doing. This dream helmet that you put on to see dreams. If you want to see a dream, I think the Witcher 3 are the same thing, where if you want to see vision of the past, you put the helmet on and you just watch it. Whereas in this, you put the helmet on, watch it, then you go into your menu, and then from the menu you go into the menu of the helmet, and then from the helmet menu you go to the menu that holds memories, and you select the actual memory to play and watch it from there, instead of just having the memory play out in the first place when you just got the helmet on. There's just so much convoluted extra stuff that's completely unnecessary that they could have stripped back. They have menus with sub-menus, with like a mini menu and another menu. It's such a mess. It really lets the game down. I think they could fix the menu stuff with patches. I think it is possible. They could make a bit more lightweight, and I hope they do. I just don't see how on earth they're gonna fix the controls. That would be such a feat in itself, because there is so much stuff within this that I don't see how they're be able to make the controls more lightweight. I really don't know. They'll have to strip back some features, I reckon, but I think time will tell. It takes so long to get used to. The first 4 hours or so of the game I spent being extremely frustrated, and I still don't remember half the buttons. If I'm supposed to be doing something specific, most of the time I'll just have to mash random buttons in the controller till it does something that I remotely want to do, which makes the start extremely slow and grueling, and I completely get why a lot of players just drop off instantly when playing this game. There is good reason for the negative reviews in my opinion. However, if you push through it, it is a great game. But I don't think you can blame people for not wanting to push through. People have lives, you know. People got stuff to do. They don't want to sit around figuring something that could have just been good from the first place. It's bad game design, and it's just done very poorly. The voice acting and the animations are pretty bad. It feels like an MMO. They're just not good. Although I think because the story's bad as well, you just come to sort of expect it. It's like it reminds me of WoW, like go kill 6 boars. Go bring this guy 4 flowers. It reminds me of that. It really feels like an MMO to me. I love the world and everything around it so much that I will continue playing it. So overall, I have enjoyed it. However, just getting used to it is such a horrible ball ache that I don't blame people for not wanting to put up with it. I think what I'll do is I might put this game off for a week or two, just so we can get some patches to make things a little easier, as I'm so strapped on time at the moment making these videos and everything else that I don't really want to waste my time working around bad game design that I could just wait to potentially be fixed a few weeks down the line. I think I might just wait a moment for them to sort it out, but I don't know if I'd recommend it. I don't know, it's too early to tell, but in this current state I recommend you wait, or you watch some content and make sure you fully understand what's going on first before purchasing. I think this is one where you'll either love it or you'll hate it. I guess we'll see if we're able to love it a bit more if they fix a few more things, but that's my opinion. And the game's it's a controversial mess, but we'll see what it looks like in a few weeks' time. It could be the thing of 2026 potentially. When you think of it as like an action sandbox open world, it is fantastic, but it's just not like a Witcher experience like people say. It really isn't. It's essentially just Breath of the Wild with adult themes. That's literally it. Which is great, but you have to think of it like that. It's not Witcher, Skyrim, as people have been saying. But that's my opinion thus far, so we'll see how it goes.